Well, we had some rain this week. We got about, I don't know, 2.5 inches of rain, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm down here on the Douglas and Salmon run, and the real noise you hear in the background is Kelvin right there. He's trying to catch me a fish. We've been steelhead fishing together for the last couple of days. Well, anyways, going forward, conditions can and do change quickly. And this past week has been a classic example of that. You can almost look at the calendar and point to the day that the salmon run pretty much wound down. It was just an abrupt, all of a sudden we got steady trickles of fish, and then the next day there's hardly any of them moving. There's still salmon coming through the system, but not a lot. It's almost like early to mid-September type pace, really light, some days a handful, some days not. That's normal for this time of the year. Also with the salmon, mid-river, upriver's got a lot of spawned out salmon. Even where I'm fishing down the Douglas and Salmon run, there's a bunch of spawned out salmon. If you're looking for salmon, stay in the heads of the pools, stay in the pinch points. You will find some very nice fish. We're still bumping into some high quality salmon. Our main target now is steelhead, and this week the steelhead fishing has been quite challenging. We've been working very hard for just a small handful of fish. We need a push of fish. That hasn't happened yet. And with steelhead, you never know. One day you'd be out there pulling your hair out, the next day you just can't do no wrong. Welcome to the world of steelhead fishing. So as for river conditions, like I mentioned earlier, we got a lot of rain. The reservoir got some runoff, got a little shot of water. The river had some pretty nice runoff. This is one of the frustrating things. We've probably had 200 to 300 CFS of runoff come through, and it didn't pull any fish. I've seen this before, nothing to panic about, it happens. But we actually had some runoff. The reservoir got a little bit of water. Unfortunately, we're not going to see a water flow increase. It's just barely maintenance. The reservoir's so low that the water that it did get would hardly have much of an effect on it. So we're still in that 185 release. We're still in this low water crisis drought condition, even though things are starting to get pretty soggy. We have a pretty bad rain deficit that we got to kind of come out of. So for the steelhead fishing, like I mentioned, I'm still spending a lot of time on the Douglas and Salmon run, and it's fishing more like I would expect it to fish for November. Now, the steelhead are here, they're trickling in lightly. You've got to cover a lot of water, fish a lot of pockets, pounds and miles to find a small handful of fish. We'll find a fish here, we'll find a fish there. There's just no concentrations. So we're having to cover a lot of water, fish through a lot of water to find a steelhead or two. The same thing with the salmon. Expect to cover a lot of water to find a salmon or two if you're looking for a salmon, especially in the lower end of the river, especially the Douglas and Salmon run. The flies for the steelhead, it's been a mix. We're still catching some fish in egg-sucking leeches. We're fishing some little small 2.5, maybe 3-inch intruders. Egg-sucking leeches are working really good in the swing, and we'll be using a lot of egg flies. These fish have been sometimes really crabby, really keyed in on an egg. As a result, we've had to break out the indicators, bobbers, AK bobbers. I call them drift management devices. It's more to make sure you get that fly right down the slot. You get a good perfect drift, because you really have a clean drift. So we're using a lot of egg patterns and 8s and 10s. Colors, some days, these gray days like this, chartreuse works really good. Has been working really good for us. Orange has been really good. Kind of a bleach Oregon cheese has been working. We've been getting a lot on egg beaters, which is Nest as egg pattern of mine. Nuclear roe bugs and orange and Oregon cheese. All on 8s and 10s has been getting that job done. Our flies are swinging. As long as it's no more than about 3 inches, that's been working okay. Once again, we've been having to cover a lot of water, keep that swing kind of slow. Salmon have been taking the same mix of flies, because that's what we're catching, because we're working on steelhead and we're bumping into an odd salmon with our steelhead presentations. The middle of the river, the upper of the river, expect to find a lot of spawned out salmon. The few steelhead are starting to trickle in there, but it's just mostly spawned out salmon. I suspect that with this water pulp, some of these fish are going to start to move. We're going to start seeing some steelhead mid-upper river. Probably by the time this report's up, you might be able to start to cover a lot of water. You might find a fish or two. There's just not a lot of steelhead in the system yet. We need a good run. That could happen tomorrow, anytime. The water flows are going to stay the same. Even though we had the rain, we had a nice pulse of water come into the reservoir. We're still in this drought condition, so yeah, we're going to see 185. Going forward, I'm going to be on this river for at least on the Salmon River for another week before I start hunting brown trout. So if people want me to keep doing this report, please mention on the comments below, hey, we like the reports, we want you to keep doing it, keep talking about the Salmon River. If you'd like me to talk about other parts like the west end of the lake where I'm going to be fishing, mix it all in, please say so. Put it in the comments. That'll be useful. You know, like I said, your comments help us drive the content. Also, we've had a bunch of new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. I got another video I'm trying to get up. Hopefully it'll be up by this time. This report's not, if not, it'll be soon to follow. We got a kind of a late season salmon fishing video to come up, and we're working on another one for steelhead fishing. So as always, right about there is that subscribe button. Hit that, and don't forget to hit the little bell icon next to it so you get notified when we put something up. But that's about all I have for this time around, folks. We're just struggling, trying to catch some steelhead. Sometimes the fishing's hot, sometimes it's not. And right now we're working at it. We're having to earn our keep. And even though Kelvin's working through here, he still hasn't hooked me nothing. So I'm going to have to go out and see what I can do to motivate him to get me a fish. My net's getting dry. Until then, thanks for watching, and see you, folks.